Welcome to another episode of Just My Baby Daddy. And today we have an interesting subject matter. And it's interesting to me because I've known this guy for over 20 years. And I've always known him and viewed him as one way. He's just our guest today is Kenny Holt, right? And Kenny, I've just known you as Kenny. Just one of us, right? Like you're not black. You're not I never thought of you as Korean either though, right? And this is what we're talking about today is I've always really viewed you just as black, right? And I feel like a lot of that came from your black dad, right? And so how is it, the topic of the day is, how did he instill that blackness in you growing up biracial?
Damn, that's a great question, man. And it's something I've thought about throughout the years. Oh, I'm being rude. First, let me say thank you for having me on here. Great platform. We need this. Yeah, I just appreciate you for starting the JMBD podcast, man. Shout out to you, brother. But yeah, how did he instill it in me? Well, first, I was super confused growing up. So my mom is Korean, as you know, and some watching this podcast may know. My dad is black.
If they look,
Black as hell. So that's where you get to that. You know what I mean? But I was raised in like the hood. And so my mom was the only yellow or other than black person in the whole neighborhood.
he said
So
yellow.
growing up, there was like a bunch of identity crises going on, like within myself. But I say all this to say my dad instilling being like a proud black man was important for me in my upbringing. And it kind of shows through like how I parent. Another context, he's older. My dad was born in the 1930s. So 1939. So you can kind of imagine what he went through, what he saw as far as racism, segregation, and Jim Crow, and so on and so forth. So him instilling in me being a proud black man was super important. Although my dad is kind of different, even though he went through like a lot growing up and growing through those hard times, he was never like a real pro-black type of person. He never had anything bad to say about like white people or other races. Of course, he married a Korean lady, but the thing is, he always led with love. So I think that's how I now parent through me seeing my dad just love people while also being a strong black man. So my dad always taught me, you're black. They're going to treat you like you're black. Just remember that. But in every room that you walk in, just hold your head up and just be proud of your skin color, of your DNA. So I try to instill that, in my parents now.
So I got a question for you. Did you ever feel like you had to pick a side or anything?
Kinda. And the black side won through the majority of my life. Like I said, being raised in the hood, at first I was kind of embarrassed. So like around 3 or 4 years old, you're walking around, you don't really know that you're biracial. You just say, hey, I got a Korean mom, black dad. It is what it is. But then as you start to go through school, kids can be kind of harsh. I just remember one time I ate this traditional Korean dish before going to school, kimchi. If you don't know, kimchi is like fermented cabbage, right? And so I ate some of that for breakfast with some rice and went to school. And me being from the hood, I went to school with all black people. So in class, we're sitting around, I'm in kindergarten, 5 years old, yeah, almost maybe 6. I just ate breakfast at home, got to school, we're in like our little small groups. I'll never forget this. One of the girls in my group, I was talking, she was like, what is that smell? It smells like rotten eggs. And it's like, I had the kimchi on my breath. And so after that, I was like, hell no, I'm not eating that again, ever again. Nigga, give me a hamburger, hot dog, give me regular food. I'm not eating that. So it was
Watermelon
that
fried
feast.
chicken.
Yeah. Watermelon fried chicken. Yeah, I'm on that side. Because the Korean side ain't working out for me. She not about to, she stopped the whole class. I think that was the most embarrassed I've ever been in my life to this day, bro. So I
Man,
said, nah, I'm good on the Korean side. But as I got older, you know, you get older, chicks started finding out I was biracial. You know, my hair is kind of straight, is different. So I started to embrace it a little bit more. And then, you know, it was equal. But to be honest, when I was really young, growing up, I picked a side, and it wasn't the Korean side.
So did that make it difficult though? Because like you said, you can pick a side all you want to, but when we go to the barbershop, we can go and get the same cut. It ain't gonna look the same. We got a totally different texture of hair. Like, you know, and I mean, for all context, you fully embrace the black side. You went to Fayetteville State, went to North Carolina A&T. Like, what are we talking about here? Like,
What? Well, see, when I had to mature, because when I was young, I didn't know what was going on. I just knew I didn't want to get picked on. That was my biggest thing. And I remember going out in public with my mom. Sometimes people would look at us, and you know, my skin is even darker than it should be for like even a mixed person. But then other features, you could kind of tell I'm not fully black. So it was weird. But just being out in public with my mom and people just giving us different looks, dude, it was hard. It was an adjustment. But what that did is it made me realize we're all different in our own way. It helped me be like a stronger person, especially when you get out into the workforce. You're the minority. You're going to be different. It just toughened my skin up. So that's pretty much what it did. But yeah, it was difficult. I was struggling, you know, with identity crises and things of that nature. But when I finally found out who I was and embraced both cultures, my life changed, and I stopped really caring about what people thought.
and so we're going to talk about, you have two children as well, both with black women, right? But you have another one on the way. Congratulations on that. But they have different features, right? And we're gonna dive into both a little bit. Like, so when it comes to your daughter just looks like she might be mixed, but she looks like a black child.
She looks more black.
Yeah, she looks like a black child. So has she embraced, like, you know, her Korean side and things of that nature? Does she represent that?
Yeah. So her thing is, she's proud to tell people that she's what? 25% Korean. And her thing is she loves spending time with my mom, and she loves asking about the Korean culture, because there are some things that I don't know, but she, you know, we have my mom that's only a phone call away that'll put her on to different things. So she's always wanted to eat Korean food. So for her, it's like she embraced it from when she was really young. She never was embarrassed about being a multicultural or anything like that. And it also almost made me feel bad about how engulfed she was, and how when I was growing up, I was kind of embarrassed. So I love seeing it. And she really takes pride in being multiracial.
Do you think a lot of that comes from the fact that she doesn't really look multiracial, whereas you had to, you know, you had to pick a side? Like, she doesn't. If she picks a side, that's because she picked a side. Her side is pretty much picked for her.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think that's a big part in it. You know what I'm saying? Because she didn't have to go through all of the looks, getting joked on, her breath smelling like Korean food and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that was a big factor for her and why she's so into it. You know what I mean?
Okay. And you said she's 75%, which is just like your son. But the difference is your son looks about 85% Korean. Like, he looks way more Korean. Like, it's almost like if you're out in public with your son, they don't know if that's your son because he looks just like a Korean baby.
It's so crazy. Like, with my daughter, it was cool. We kind of even look alike, you know, almost the same complexion. But my son, when I take him out in public, I get weird looks like, yo, what baby did he steal? Because he really looks Asian. So he looks like
Totally
75% Asian. Yeah. A lot more than me. So it skipped me, as you can see. But for him, like, he had
totally
skip
you. You say, as you can see, as you point to your goddamn straight black hair, get out of here.
So yeah, and it's so crazy because he has the chinky eyes. He has yellow. He's not brown. He's not tan. He's not red. He is yellow. Like he's yellow in my mouth.
Like if you was to look at if you seen on the video, like my paper, like the cartoon, like that. Like, he's yellow.
he would blend in with that shit. So yeah, and it's crazy. So he's 2, he'll be 3 in November. So I'm interested to see what he does, if he embraces the Korean culture or whatever, because I mean he definitely looks like one of them. So yeah, I'm rolling with King Black today. The crazy part is, it's funny how it comes full circle, because I used to be embarrassed when I was young to be biracial, but I look at my son, I get kind of jealous. I'm like, man, I wish I looked not Chinese, Korean then. Sorry, mom, you watching this? I apologize. Korean,
Oh, you picked the side for real.
South Korean. We from the South Side.
So do you think your son will embrace it more, or be easier for him to embrace that side, especially because, so do you think it'll be harder for him to start to, because he's not growing up in the hood, you know what I mean? And where he's growing up, I'm pretty sure a lot of, especially now, a lot of people that he's in class with, they're not necessarily just black, just white. It's mixed kids like everywhere now, right? And so do you feel like it's, because it's going to almost be harder for it, like, it's almost like, no, I am black for him. It's so how do you want to think you're gonna go about that with
Man,
him?
that's why this conversation is so crazy, because I haven't even thought about that for him. But you're right. It is more diverse now. The way he looks, I don't know how it's going to go. But that's why it's going to be important for me to instill values from both the black side and the Korean side in him, so he'll know who he is when he gets older and doesn't have to go through what I went through. But yeah, that's crazy, because they might pick on him like, yo, ching chong makahaya, they because he looks that, so I don't know how it's going to go. But that's where being like a good father, a figure to him, making sure he knows who he is at his core is going to be important, because, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right, because kids are and it's crazy because I think back to me as a kid, like I got made fun of, like it's the same typical thing that everybody get made fun of back in the late 80s, early 90s. Of course, I'm getting called African booty scratcher. My name is Elijah Wan all the time. But that to me, and it used to make me so mad. One, I'm born and raised in DC. My mother's name is Jackie. My father's name is Reggie. I'm not Nigerian at all. But I kept hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. That used to piss me off. Everybody, look at this African booty snatcher. I'm like, yo, like, what the fuck? So I can imagine, like, just growing up as a kid, just now it might be different, though. It might be. So your next child gonna come out with an afro.
Memorial Day weekend, we're looking forward to. I can't wait to meet him, man. I hope he's somewhere in between. Yeah, you know what I mean? So,
So let me ask you another thing. Going back to your dad, when you talked about, those looks that you might get with Micah because he looks different than you, your dad will get those same looks, when he had you as a child. Did y'all ever have those kind of conversations about like what he felt, or how he dealt with that, or what it was like during that time? Because it was I mean, you ain't young. You ain't like you grew up in 2000. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So so it was a different time then. So what was it like for him?
It was tough for him too. Yeah, because I used to ask him about that. Because my dad, if you don't know him, he's like the color of this shade right here. He's probably in there. You in there? Yeah. Uh, so he's super dark. And so when I was younger, I was a little lighter than this, but when we used to walk around, yeah, he got those same looks. But the thing is, my dad, he was so confident in his abilities to be a dad and just be a good person. He said it never impacted him at all. He was more so, he's such a good dad. He more so worried about how it impacted me. He used to just always make sure I was good. Like, hey, I know you saw that lady looking at us. You good? Yeah. So he used to check on me, man. So shout out to my dad. He's definitely the GOAT.
But even back as a child, you can remember stuff like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So and when I go back and think about it, it kind of makes me laugh, because like you said, I'm going through that now with my son. So
Yeah.
it's crazy just how everything can come back full circle. And what I went through then prepared me for what I'm going through now, even with him.
So, and you also have an older brother. as well. So will you lean on him to navigate? Because he is in the same situation. Because your dad, he grew up in a totally different time as well. Your dad can't, help you, show you how to navigate as a biracial child, like you said. He's as black as the curtain behind you. You know what I mean? So that ain't, yeah, ain't no mistaking what he is. You know what I mean? It's like, he grew up at a different time where, oh, you ain't just called black. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You called it
Yo,
with
he was he missed slavery by a few years, yo. That he was this close.
So, I mean, what did how brother help?
So same thing. It's crazy how like values and thoughts are passed from, down the lineage. So because of how my dad was, he's so calm, cool, and collected. If you know my brother, he's the exact same way. He's just so cool. He never gets like ruffles. Always cool. And so my brother, he's just always like, yeah, you want to get those looks. Just keep it cool, keep it pushing. My brother was always, how do I say it? He was always like that angel on my shoulder. So you get these looks, people looking at you a certain kind of way, ignoring. He's always like the do the right thing type of person, man. So that's kind of how his take on things was. Because he's Korean and black too, grew up in the hood. Probably when it was even worse, this was like in the 70s. So pretty sure it was worse for him being like the minority or being like biracial.
Okay. And so if you were to give your son, if you were to look at this like 10 years down the road, what advice would you give him on trying to navigate through this?
Just be a solid person, and everything kind of comes from that. I think that'd probably be the biggest piece of advice for him. And just stay true to who you are. Just know yourself.
Okay. That's cool. All right, but look, all right, that's great. Now let's get to let's get to a little something, because you talked about till they found out the biracial thing, right? You gonna teach your son that. I talked about this last time, and this is off the subject a little bit, but whatever. People that listen to this long, they're gonna listen to it. We're at the point where I talked about, I don't want my son to get a bunch of girls and all this other stuff. But you were talking about, your son and the biracial thing. I know what you're talking about it for. I know what you're talking about it for.
It comes with the territory, my brother.
But look, let me ask you this. Would you want your son to be a ladies' man? Because like you said, it comes with the territory. He is going to have a lot of different women attracted to him. You know what I mean? Just based off of who his parents is. Yeah, right. So, like, is that something that, you would want him to lean into? Or is that something that you would say, guys, you don't want to go down that route? As someone that's this
is a touchy subject, because I was just talking to Lanice about this, how I foresee him navigating like the dating scene when he gets that age. Yeah, I just don't want him to be a dork. I said, look, just don't be the herb out here getting played by women. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, be respectful, date, find what you want. You can even have multiple women as long as they're cool with it. You date around. But you can have a lot of women. You should.
What does Mama say?
Nah, she like, entertain one woman at a time. But I'm like, you gotta have options, bro. Yeah, you gotta find out what you like. But the most important thing, I hope for him, that he knows himself, finds out what he actually wants. That's the most important thing. So I gotta be politically correct for a second. But at the same time, man, yeah, get them chicks, bro. You only live once.
Yeah. I can't go that route. I feel like I feel like
you got a son. What you gonna tell Jet?
Hey man.
Or what have you already told me?
I asked him, is he into girls and all this other. He ain't there yet. But like, don't do it. Don't do it, bro. It ain't, to me. I dodged a lot of bullets. Don't do it. Don't do it. And I feel like it's. I can tell him, because I used to think that I would be having long conversations with him. He'd be like, man, I remember when I was in college too, but I can't say much because,
Hey. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it. But hey, yo, so that reminds me. So, we're older now and we've matured. So to be 1000% transparent, I used to tell myself, yo, if I had a son, I would be disappointed if he turned out liking boys, right? That was the old me.
We are all over the place in this podcast right now. Let's go.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No,
Go
but
ahead.
no, I'm going somewhere with you. So I was so against, I was like, man, I don't know how it would feel if that would ever happen. But, since I got with Lanice and, she's the type, she loves everybody. She's like, don't judge who other people love. And so the more and more I thought about that, and as Micah gets older, like it doesn't matter. I've come to mature, and I accept certain things now, and I don't want to ever be judgy. So when we talk about how we see them, whoever Micah loves, I'm with it. You know what I mean? I used to be so against it. So it's just amazing how even seeing you, like you said, it's been over 20 years for us, and I just want to give myself a pat on the back because I'm of the thought process now, no matter who Micah ends up with, we're going to accept him and love him the same. So, man, that's, as a matter of fact, that's what I would tell Micah. Follow your heart, dude.
You get these hoes.
Yeah. You said it. Well, yeah. Yeah, man. She better not be no mud duck either, man. You got it. Come on, man. We got standards, bro.
Man, it's all right. He'll come home with a nice South Korean woman.
Man, nah. Yeah. My mom turned me off to that, man. I could never. And, there's some of the most beautiful women in the world, but I can't. That's another story for another day, man.
I know. We might get you back on here for one of our mailbag ones for a bunch of questions we got, because it seems like we just go all over the topics. So it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, I've been watching your show for years, and I was always like, dang, I wonder how I would be on the show. But I appreciate you again, man. It's fun, it's informative, and just us as Black and Korean and Black dads, just dads in general. We need this platform. We need our voices to be heard, and we can all learn from each other. I think we all have some positive views and and things we can share with each other. And I just love what you're doing, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot, even for me. Like, I learn something we've known each other for 20 years. We talk about parenting, all this stuff, but we've never had like that conversation that we just had. Now, the other stuff we've had, but yeah, it was good, man. I appreciate it.
For sure. And, I'm proud of you as a dad as well, because a lot of people don't know, but, I know you, and, I know who you have children with, and I'm proud of just you and
we cutting all this shit.
Everything that you do, man.
We cut this shit out at the end of this episode of Just My Baby Daddy podcast. I know you liked what you saw. So what I need for you to do is go back and look at past episodes. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share our YouTube page, Just My Baby Daddy Podcast. And you can follow us on all social media at Just My Baby Daddy Pod.